see, and thank you for clicking on this video. I want to say welcome and thank you to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys subscribing to my channel, and I'm so excited that you're here. There's going to be lots of cool things we can talk about. I would love, oops, little notification on my phone that I'm using for my camera. In the comments, I got quite a few comments over the last, yesterday, and I really loved them all. I thought that they were really intelligent, really thoughtful, so please keep them coming. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with school lunch. So I worked as a lunch lady last year, whoops, and I'm going to share a little bit about my thoughts on that based on seeing what we're feeding our kids. And I'm not trying to like ruffle any feathers with this. It's just, I think it's something that really needs to be looked at and is being overlooked. There's a lot that our society has to work on and grow on. And so first I'm going to bring up what I see to be the benefits, the obvious benefits of school lunch. So as a kid, I was not wealthy. I did not grow up in a wealthy family. So we were definitely free lunch kids. And in some homes, in a lot of homes in the United States, and probably, I'm sure, a lot of other parts of the world, there's not enough food in the home in people living in poverty. And so having a school lunch program with free lunch for low-income kids, the benefits of that are obvious. For some of those kids, very sadly, that might be the only meal that they get that day. And so in Minnesota, the state I live in, just passed this year free school lunch for all kids, which I personally think that's a good thing, because growing up in the public school systems in the US, and then also working and seeing. So last year when I did work as a lunch lady, it wasn't the law had, or I don't know what you would call it, free lunch it wasn't free for everyone's, so some of the kids were required to pay for the lunch, and they were worried. I would see the worry on their face. This is middle schoolers or older. The elementary kids probably don't worry about that as much. Is there enough money in my lunch account? And then also sometimes the shame with the kids who were on free lunch, the embarrassment with that, which that makes me really sad. So the benefit of the school lunch is the kids got to eat, man. So there's that. However, before I started this job working in a cafeteria of a middle school, I assumed that the school lunch system had improved since I was a kid in the school system. That was incorrect. I actually think it's gotten worse as far as health, as far as quality of food. I think it's gotten worse, especially after COVID, because once COVID hit, because everyone was so afraid of germs, more of the ingredients for these lunches became packaged, stuff that would come shipped prepackaged food, more processed food. From what I saw, the school lunches right now are heavily processed, a lot of processed meats. The other thing is there's not a lot of options for vegetarians and vegans. It depends. Here's what it is. It depends on who's managing the school kitchen. The school I was working at, unfortunately, the manager almost disliked that people wanted to eat vegan and vegetarian, which it's not her business to decide how other people want to eat. An ethical way to be a manager of a school cafeteria would be, okay, what people want, dietary choices, it's their choice, and it's my job to provide that for them. And I would imagine that there's probably some schools out there where the kitchen managers are better about that. But there were some people who consistently wouldn't have, because she would do 4 vegan options for close to 1,000 people coming through that one. And so by the time a lot of the people who really wanted to take the vegetarian or vegan option, it was gone. And so I didn't think that that was right, doing it that way. Accommodate how people want to eat. Just do it, you know. Um, anyway, but the level of processed food, oh god, years ago I had watched a documentary. What was it? Fed Up, I think. Katie Couric, and like there's a lot of lobbying that goes on with this, getting bad food companies into schools, garbage food. Um, they're making money off of it. They're profiting off of this. And so, actually, I had one buddy that I worked with there, one person that I really bonded with, and she was from Pakistan. And every weekend, all of her family came over from Pakistan. And every weekend they get together and they do these huge meals for 30 or 40, they'll rotate whose house they go to, these big meals, one or two people cooking. And so she knows how to cook for large groups of people, and they're cooking real food, like rice and lentils and different things like that, healthy food. And she and I both agreed. We were pretty shocked at the low quality of the food that's being given to kids. And I think maybe the argument that some people would make is, well, it's too hard to feed large numbers of people healthy food. That's incorrect. Rice and some kind of protein, lentils, you can make it so good. The problem is people would say, I don't want to eat that, because they're hooked on dirty chicken sandwiches, and oh my god, the burgers that would come out, oh my god, they didn't even look like food. And there are problems with feeding our kids food like this. After working in the school cafeteria, every day I make my kids home lunch. I'm not going to feed them that stuff. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just the way I see it. This is really, truly a place of concern. So we have these growing bodies. The food that is being served, I'm not blaming the lunch staff. Most of these people are, they just see things differently, I think. But this food is lacking in nutrition, like the micronutrients, like the vitamins and the minerals, and then like fiber and the stuff good proteins, the stuff that your body needs. And it's filled with bad fats, sugar, salt, chemicals from processed food, harmful chemicals. And what ends up happening, okay, so regarding like behavioral, some of these kids were naughty. There was some naughty stuff going on. I saw a lot of kids acting out. One, our society, our culture is really kind of toxic. And so I understand why kids going through the school system have a hard time. I was one of them. I didn't fit in with that system. So you have that, and then we're feeding our kids bad food. They're not getting proper nutrition, and they're getting pumped full of this other stuff that's not good for them, giving them sugar crashes, sugar highs and sugar crashes. And that brings me to another thing. Not so much in the elementary schools where I live, but the middle schools and the high schools. For people who have their own money, you can buy all kinds of junk still. Chips and cookies and soda. You can still buy those things. When I was in high school, there were candy machines, all kinds of junk food, and that's still there. That hasn't gone away. Okay, so they've added some bottled water and juice into the mix, but it's still junk food's very much available for our kids at schools. And I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are getting that one as quickly as we need to. Just like with what I do to make, my job, you could call it, my way of making money. I shop groceries for people, and I can see what they're buying. And like, to me, I don't think people are really getting it yet. Just the importance of getting the processed stuff out of our diet, and more fruits and vegetables, and things like that, healthy grains. And there's a lot of health issues that come from eating that way long term. You know, diabetes, heart disease, cancers, they're all linked to a heavily processed diet, lacking in nutrition. Oh, years ago, I had this book. I gave it away, but I had first watched a documentary, and then I got the book Dr. Gerson, the Gerson therapy. Anyway, his theory, and this was a long time ago. Was it the 40s or 50s? Basically, his theory, which actually I think there's a lot of truth to it, is cancer comes from an excess of toxic material in intake, combined with a lack of proper nutrition. So those two things together. And so that book and that documentary was about that. And I do think that there's a lot of truth to it. And so I'm not trying to discourage anyone from feeding their kids school lunch. I just kind of think it's important for us to be thinking about what we're eating more, like the foods that we're eating. And you know, these kids are still growing. Their bodies are still developing. And then, like, so, you know, having sugar crashes and not getting enough nutrition, that can lead to behavioral issues, I think. And that was hard for me with that job. I think that was the hard. I loved seeing those kids every day, truly. And actually, that's the part, that and then my coworker that I mentioned are the parts that I miss about that job. But that part was hard, you know, knowing that I'm serving these kids trash. That did not sit well with me. And you know, that really did kind of push me more, because last year I would give my kids a choice. In the years prior, I would love to make home lunch for you, but if you want to eat, because sometimes they would just like leave their lunch and not eat it and go through the lunch line. So I felt like, okay, I'm just gonna let them choose. But actually this year I've gotten more strict about it, and I'm like, I will make you what you want as long as it's healthy, but you are gonna eat your home lunch. And so yeah, just thinking more about nutrition and what we're feeding our kids, and looking at the school system and the school lunch system. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, and I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments, and have a great day. Bye.